History is weird. Like, absolutely mind-bendingly weird. Whenever we think about the past, we're usually taught to focus on the super dry stuff, right? The endless dates, the complex treaties, the rise and fall of these vast empires. But what textbooks usually leave out are the parts that sound like a complete and utter fever dream. So welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to challenge your whole perception of the past by uncovering the bizarre, unimaginable plot twists that you literally could not make up if you tried. Let's get right into it. If you're sitting there thinking history is just some boring collection of dusty old textbooks, well, you are in for a massive surprise today. We are completely skipping the dry stuff and diving headfirst into 4 historical events that sound 100% fake, but are actually completely, incredibly true. All right, let's look at some of these strangest moments in human history.
Event number 1, Pope Gregory's cat catastrophe in the 1230s.
To really understand just how strange the past could be, we've got to look at Pope Gregory IX. He kicked off a world-altering and, quite frankly, totally bizarre crusade. But it wasn't against another empire. No, it was against cats. He actually issued an official document with a truly wild declaration, stating that black cats were literally instruments of Satan. And because this was a papal decree, it sparked a massive continent-wide purge of cats all across Europe. People just started actively hunting them down everywhere. Now, what followed was this morbidly ironic chain reaction. Because, well, when you mess with an ecosystem, things go south fast. Step 1, the Pope bans and purges the cats. Step 2, cats effectively disappear from the streets of Europe. Step 3, with their natural predators completely gone, the rat population absolutely exploded. And step 4, this is the real kicker, guess what those rats were carrying? The fleas responsible for the bubonic plague. So by trying to eliminate what they thought were evil cats, they accidentally cleared the path for the Black Death, which is one of the deadliest pandemics in all of human history. Crazy, right? Moving right along to event number 2, the deadly dance of 1518. If you think modern viral internet dances are intense, they have absolutely nothing on what went down in Strasbourg, France. On day 1 of this bizarre timeline, a woman named Frau Trophia simply stepped out into the street and just started dancing. But here's the catch. She didn't stop. She just kept dancing for days. By the time we hit the 1-month mark, this situation had escalated dramatically. Around 400 people had joined her in the streets, and they physically could not stop. I mean, they danced frantically until their feet literally bled. The end result for a lot of these folks was incredibly tragic. They actually died from strokes, heart attacks, or just pure absolute exhaustion. So, the obvious question here is, why on earth did this happen? Well, this brilliantly illustrates how some historical mysteries still remain totally unsolved. To this day, scientists and historians are completely torn between 2 main theories. On one hand, some believe it was a psychological phenomenon, basically a case of extreme mass hysteria brought on by the severe stress of living in that time period. On the other hand, there's a biological theory which suggests that the townspeople accidentally ate bread infected with a toxic, psychoactive fungus. Either way, an entire town literally danced itself to death. There's really no way to spin that as anything but terrifying. All right, event number 3, the Boston molasses tsunami of January 1919. I want you to imagine a massive industrial storage tank sitting right in the middle of a bustling city, and suddenly it bursts wide open. You're probably picturing a devastating flood of water, right? Well, it wasn't water. 2.3 million. That is the staggering volume, in gallons, of dark, sticky syrup that came rushing out of that burst tank. Boston was literally being drowned in molasses. To put that into perspective, that's enough syrup to fill several Olympic-sized swimming pools. It's a number so huge it's honestly hard to wrap your head around, especially when you think about the sheer thickness and weight of that much syrup suddenly dumping into city streets. And if you are picturing a slow, comical, sticky ooze creeping down the road, think again. The molasses exploded out of that tank and formed a 25-foot high wave that moved at 35 miles per hour. Let that sink in. That is highway speed. We are talking about a towering wave of thick, heavy syrup crashing through a major American city as fast as a car. The aftermath was absolutely tragic. This wasn't some funny mishap. It was a devastating disaster. The sheer force of the molasses destroyed whole buildings and flipped over vehicles like they were little plastic toys. Ultimately, 21 lives were lost in the disaster, and it left such a profound mark on the area that a local legend actually persists to this day. For decades after the flood, locals claimed that on really hot summer days, the city streets still smelled like sweet molasses baking in the sun.
And finally, event number 4, President Albert Einstein in 1952.
Okay, we all know Albert Einstein, right? The absolute genius with the wild hair, the world's most famous physicist. But what would happen if he became a world leader? Following the death of Israel's first president in 1952, the Israeli government decided to aim for the absolute top. They officially extended the ultimate leadership offer to Einstein himself, asking him to become the next president of their nation. It is just this incredible moment where hardcore science and global politics completely intersected.
But Einstein's response is what truly defines his character, and it brilliantly illustrates exactly who he was as a person. He was deeply moved by the offer, for sure, but he politely declined. His reasoning? He wrote, "I lack the natural aptitude and the human skills to deal with people and official duties." He knew his strengths, and he vastly preferred sticking to the predictable, reliable laws of physics over the totally unpredictable complexities of human politics. Just take a second and let that really sink in. Imagine how entirely different the world might look today if Einstein had actually said yes. A geopolitical landscape shaped by the exact same mind that gave us the theory of relativity? It's absolutely one of history's most massive and fascinating what-if scenarios.
So, as you've seen throughout this explainer, history is just packed with unimaginable plot twists that you could never, ever make up. From papal cat purges causing the plague, to deadly dance marathons, molasses tsunamis, and almost President Einstein. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What completely normal fact from our modern day is going to sound totally fake to people 500 years from now? Let that provocative thought sit with you for a bit. If you found these bizarre historical truths as fascinating as I did, make sure to comment your thoughts and follow along for more mind-blowing history. We'll see you next time.